So, Lone Rider here, and riding my single-speed mountain bike in the woods, and that's actually kind of what I wanted to talk about. We need to do more to preserve trail access. If I want to ride out here, as opposed to, where there's pavement, or go for a road ride, or ride on a paved path, I want to ride my mountain bike off-road at a place that I can bike to from my house. There really is no other place aside from this narrow dirt thing on this side of the Passaic River. There's a proper trail on the other side of the river, but it's officially been closed to bikes since they expanded the extra-legal ban on mountain biking that was created in a backroom by the unelected 20 years ago, just for watching to every park in the entire county. And so right now in Union County, New Jersey, there's really no place you can officially ride without the risk of being hassled. So you have to go across the river. Of course, across the river, you're in another county, and nobody's going to hassle you. And this is basically a dirt road. They take, presumably they'll take trucks down it if they have to get to fix these power lines up here. So I don't think anybody's going to be all that worried about what a mountain bike may or may not do. Of course, alleged concerns about trail damage and that sort of thing were one of the main bugbears used to denounce the idea of mountain biking. Of course, they never documented a single instance of trail damage at Watchung prior to the ban, which was created in 1995. And since then, the trails there have mostly gone downhill, except for a handful of basically special trails in the vicinity of the Nature Center, which are, upkept pretty well. And in fact, some of them, I've hiked on them, some of them are pretty darn nice. But you go outside that one area of the park, keep in mind Watchung is a park that, has like supposedly 40-something miles of trails. And if you go outside that one area to the, more far-flung trails, you'll find that some of them have, the bridges are rotten away or fallen in. They look more like eyesores than anything else. So I think, the concern about, mountain bikers wrecking the place was definitely overblown. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that without proper trail access, the best you can hope for is to maybe find a spot of woods that doesn't officially fall under any jurisdiction and ride there until somebody gives you crap and tells you to move on, like a vagrant. Or maybe, if you're lucky, you live near a place like this where there's these dirt access roads along the power lines. The problem is this stretch on this side of the river is fairly short. It's only a couple miles long. And the one on the other side of the river goes all the way to the next town, but it's so rutted from the service trucks they bring back here, and I think ATVs, to be fair, that the ruts fill with water and the trail basically becomes impassable for a large part of the year. I tried going over there, it was this past weekend, and the part of the trail was filled with frozen water, and it was just, I wasn't going to try and go through that in 30-degree weather and freeze my little piggies off, I don't have galoshes. I'm just wearing regular shoes, and you would need like water boots or waders or something for that in winter weather. So yeah, here it sits. This is the closest I can come to mountain biking, unless I want to get in my car and drive for like 40 minutes to an hour or more. And that kind of blows when you have plenty of good trails, within biking distance of my house. I mean, Watchung was maybe 4 miles away or so. It was uphill both ways because, there was a tall peak in between, but, it was doable. I rode there in the past. I rode to there, and I rode through there, and, that was, something I could definitely do. And then, of course, this trail by the river is literally a couple blocks from my house, the one that's on the other side of this, where the river is here. But the problem is, the other side of the river is, like I said, it's a different county. It's Union County, and Union County is on like an anti-mountain bike crusade. So this is the best you can hope for if you live here, and that kind of sucks. And I'm enjoying my day outdoors. Don't get me wrong. I'll get as far out in the woods as I can. But yeah, you look at this side. There's nothing there because it's just woods until you hit the river. But you look at this side. Yeah, it looks okay over there and there and there. Oh, what's that? Houses. Yeah, you can see houses from where I am. Now, maybe not in the summer when the trees have leaves and the deciduous trees aren't bare of their foliage, but from here you can see there's a neighborhood out there, and you can even hear the cars if I let you listen. Yeah. So this isn't really what I'd like to be doing. I'd like to be riding on a proper trail deep in the woods, away from houses and roads and things like that. And it's pretty damn sad that I can't do that because of the biases of a handful of ignorant people. It's pretty damn sad that we don't have the trail access. And of course, myself and other people did try to do something about it. We spent 3 years fighting for trail access in Watchung, and then when they, in the middle of that, expanded the ban retroactively 20 years later to the entire county, then it became about trail access in Union County generally. And we were proceeding in good faith, and ultimately the government wasn't, and so it fell through. But the question, it's not like, well, did you try to do something about it rather than just complain? Yes, we did. I spent 3 years of my life, and ultimately I even spent some of my own money filing Open Public Record Act requests, and at one point even suing the government because they refused to turn over information. The information, of course, was an email chain that showed them being told that the threats they made to confiscate people's bikes that they later posted throughout the park system actually were not legally authorized and were basically illegal threats, according to the county's own police department, which warned them in this email chain, don't, it's misleading to put that in the signs. We can't confiscate the bikes just for them being ridden in the park. But of course, that's what they put on the flyers and stuff that they posted throughout the park system. No wonder I had to sue to get that, and they were abusing an Open Public Record Act exception to try and keep it hidden. But yeah, I did try to do something about it. I went as far as a private citizen can go, legally within the system. And since I'm not prepared to, become an outlaw, here it sits. There's nothing else that I can do. I think ultimately what we need to do is we need to change the culture, not just the cultural perception of mountain bikers. A lot of people's perception of us still seems to be stuck in the 1990s, thinking that we're, something out of a X Games or Mountain Dew commercial. The reality is, a lot of us are, just regular guys who want to go out in the woods and have fun. And, have no particular bet towards outlawry or shredding the trails or anything else. But, perceptions haven't kept up with the times. But in addition to changing the perception of mountain biking culturally, I think we also need to change the perception of government. I think we need to get people to reevaluate the idea that the government can just make decisions in secret and then keep pushing them on people 20 years later. That this idea of citizens saying to the government, hey, why can't I have fair park access? Why can't we have a better policy that's beneficial to everyone? How can you make a decision in secret? 20 years ago, behind closed doors, the unelected, not even like the freeholders passing a law or an ordinance or anything, and then just keep that there forever and not let anybody question it. And we need to change our cultural expectations, not only regarding what people think of mountain biking, but what people think of the government. People need to be willing to say to the government, I question you. I'm not going to just, take what you say at face value. I want an explanation. I want to know what's going on. What are you doing and why? And what is its impact going to be on me? Before you make the rule, not afterwards, right? And the rules shouldn't be made behind closed doors by the unelected, without any accountability, without any even public knowledge at the time, or for 20 years after the fact. And the fact that 20 years later, until I began, and myself and several other people, although I filed the bulk of the OPA requests, I think, but other people did file some. But 20 years later, the government still wasn't forthcoming about the origin and history of its mountain bike ban. And it was like, okay, I mean, we're not talking about nuclear launch codes here. We're talking about the origins of a policy that forbids riding your bicycle in a public park. Like, what the heck? Why the secrecy? Why the, And so when I say we need to change the culture, I don't just mean about the perceptions of mountain biking. I mean, we need to change our expectations of government. People should expect their government to be accountable, and they should be very, very bothered by when it's not, even on an issue that's fairly mundane, like riding your bike in a public park. So there you go, just a little thought on the subject. I'm going to mount up my bike and go back out for a ride. But I did feel compelled to share that because, you know, this is no small issue. It affects me every freaking day. I mean, every day I go out for a ride, I'm like, hey, I wanna maybe ride my mountain bike instead of riding my road bike, and well, there's no place to mountain bike, unfortunately. So there you go. Lone Rider out.